Hi, everyone. My name is Toluwani, and welcome to Truth Table. Today, I have two amazing guests sitting with me today. I have Pastor Olumide Emmanuel, who is a Bible scholar, an author, a creative thinker, motivational speaker, a businessman and entrepreneur, leadership developer, counselor, and he is a general overseer of Calvary Bible Church. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being on the Truth Table with me. And I also have Pastor Olakunle Soriyan, who is a mentor, a motivational speaker, an executive coach to leaders and governments across the world and the globe. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for being on the Truth Table with me.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So today we're going to be talking about the chemistry of finance in marriage. The chemistry of finance in marriage. I want to break the ice. So let's start with my money, your money, my money, my money. You know, this has been an idea that we've had or we've heard for a very long time. That when you get married as a woman, my money is my money. His money is our money. So, Pastor Olumide, what are your thoughts around that particular statement?
Well, I think that statement will be dependent on the kind of marriage that you have. So, one of the things that we're trying to help people understand right now is you are either in a traditional cultural marriage, or you are in a contemporary marriage, or you are in a kingdom marriage. So when you are talking of a kingdom marriage, that means two people have come together to become one.
Yeah.
So in a kingdom marriage, there is no my money, your money is our money. So whatever money comes into a kingdom marriage is the family income. Then the two people within the marriage will now sit down. So what God expects in a kingdom marriage is joint knowledge, joint planning, and joint decision making. So in a kingdom marriage, every money that I have, my spouse must know about. Every money that my spouse have, I must know about. So we know that this is our family income that is available to us. Then we also now sit down to plan together. So there is joint knowledge, there is joint planning, that we now sit down to also decide together how our family income will be run. So that's so when you say your money is my money, it depends on the kind of marriage you run. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Pastor Kunle, do you think there's a direct correlation between love and money?
Yes, I really think so on many levels. The idea about money for me is existential. Whether we like it or not, money drives a lot of meaning and purpose. Even the Bible says that money is a defense, as wisdom is a defense. And it's logic. If 2 plus 2 is 4, and 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, then 2 plus 2 and 2 multiplied by 2 should be the same because they are both equal to 4. So if wisdom is defense, money is defense, then wisdom and money have a lot to do together, right? And I believe very strongly that part of the proof of your wisdom is also the size of your pocket. You really can't be wise and be poor, right? The Bible says wisdom has the advantage of giving success. So there is a limit to what one can do in this world without the necessity of, intelligent use of finance. And so how does that impact on love? I mean, everywhere, I always say to people, follow the money and you follow the purpose. Follow the money. And even in a relationship, when you are 19 and you want to date a girl, you write poems. You say you are the ink of my car, you are the, you say those things. But when you get matured, you write checks. You don't, even if you want to have an affair.
You write checks.
You are going to write checks. You can't be telling a 31-year-old girl that you are the ink of my car. Because, excuse me, you have to show up, right? Yeah. So, affair is a budget, And like Pastor Olumide said, when people learn the wisdom from the beginning, having understanding of the money that comes into the family, and they have that understanding together, I believe very strongly that, there should be one pulse in the family. And it will be difficult when everybody sees the money for somebody to write a check for a Porsche or for a house or to buy a business class ticket without seeing,
what's going on.
So at times I've seen couples, I know 26 couples in a family excellence system who run this particular idea. And the fact is that you see that even when you are tempted, because I've spoken to these guys, even when you are tempted, you are close to a lady, you really want to go all the way, but you know money is going to follow this thing.
And it will catch you.
And there's no way you are going to justify these expenses.
Yeah.
If you get away with it once, by the second time, the third time, you are going to have to be explaining yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So it's wise, it's safety, it's necessary restraint to be able to, apart from a lot of other, economic issues, why it's just wise to be able to put money and love together. They are inseparable, in my opinion.
You gave a great idea on, having money together, and obviously you can see. But see, in the Nigerian context, let's bring it home to Nigeria. A lot of women cannot see what their husband is doing with money.
Sadly.
So it doesn't have to explain to anybody but God. And one thing that I really want to bring light to is the issues and the ills that are happening today in Christian marriages. And this leads me to trust and transparency. Yeah, in finances, obviously. But Pastor Olumide, trust and transparency in Christian homes today has led to so many different ills. One of them, obviously, is finances. And if you could just please speak around that.
I wrote a book years ago called Before You Say I Do. It's a book that deals with, it's for both single and married people. So 2 books in one. The first part is vital considerations for singles before you say I do. The second part is wisdom for couples after you say I do. And I came to realize that majority of the problems we have today is ineffective courtship. People don't court effectively. So what they're supposed to deal with in courtship, they now try to rectify in marriage. And you cannot manufacture your weapons of war on the battlefield. It doesn't work like that. So if you are courting effectively, you should not be going into marriage with someone you don't trust. Because a relationship without trust is already dead, waiting for burial. So when you are courting, you should know what each person is bringing to the table. So how much do you earn? Those are the things you do in courtship. So how can you marry and say, I don't know how much he earns? That means courtship has been wrong. You shouldn't be getting married to someone that you don't love or that you don't trust. So when it comes to the issue of relationship, once you are coming together in courtship, we sit down to discuss this marriage. Why are we getting married? What is the purpose of our marriage? What will be our values? What are our goals? What are the guiding principles that will guide this family? What are our dreams? Okay, how many children do we want to have? Where do we want to live? When do we want to own a home? What kind of children? All those things are supposed to, when you are discussing that, there is no way you will not find out whether, okay, if he earns 200 and you earn 150, that means the money coming into the family is not 200. It's 350. If 350 is coming to the family, you cannot plan to say you want to live in Banana Island. You already know that money cannot pay. So what a lot of men don't know is that when you are not open and honest with your woman, you are creating problem for yourself. Because you are not going to know whether you have a wife or a knife. If I earn 500,000, I'm open to you that I earn 500, and you're asking for bone straight. It means you are not a straight woman. You are not the one for me. Look for somebody else. Your desire to have bone straight is not a problem. It only shows that I'm not qualified for that level. So you go and I will look for my level. So once you are not honest with your spouse, you are just setting yourself up for trouble. Because women and children have the tendency to see their man and father more than they really are. Every child believes the father is Superman. Every woman believes my husband can do everything. So if you are not open and she's seeing the details, she would think there's money somewhere. And then when trouble comes, everybody is suffering for it. And then to say something about the issue of having money together. One of the things that we have come to realize is that when you come into a relationship, not everybody has the same level of financial intelligence and financial discipline. So what we have said, which is a suggestion, because there's no one size fits all. Most of the times of this discussion are poverty discussion. Because if you are married to a multi-billionaire that has 50 billion, all this joint account is all poverty discussion. Somebody, so how much do you want to? So really, it's just because majority of the people are still at the struggling level. So we have to give them guiding principles. So I advise, which is what I've thought about the years, that every family should have 4 accounts. A suggestion. Number 1, the husband should have his own personal account. The wife should have her own personal account. So that's 2 accounts. Because I personally believe that any relationship that robs you of your individuality is bondage.
Correct.
So you still need to be an individual.
point.
a man
Yes.
joins a woman, they become one family. That is on earth. When you get to heaven, it's not Mr. and Mrs. You still have to answer your own personal.
Yes.
So man, woman, come together. So that man should still be a man.
Yes.
I want to surprise you and I have to go and take money from the place where, no. So there should still be, then they should have a third account, which is going to be like an expense account. Now that expense account may work for some people, may not work for some people. So the expense account is the account that deals with every expenditure that we run.
Yeah.
So it's okay, a percentage of your money goes in here, a percentage of mine goes in here, and that's what we use to run the family. Whosoever is responsible for the running of the family manages that account.
Yeah.
Then we now have a fourth account. So that third account, some people don't do that, they just divide the chores. And say, okay, you know what, in this family, don't worry. You undo rent and school fees. Anything else, I'll handle. So that settles the third account. The fourth account is the joint account we are talking about. There must be an investment account. An account where two of you put a percentage of your income in, and no one single person has the power to pull out money there except to sit down and discuss. So when you have that joint account, that is where you talk about home ownership. That's where you talk about maybe children's futures, this and that investment. When you have that account, it keeps two of you together when it comes to some of these things. Because you see, there are many people that find it easy to walk away because nothing is joining us together.
Yes.
When you are thinking of the fact that we have 17 houses and I can't sell the house without us sitting down together. When you are thinking of the fact that we have investments in this place where we have all signed, you would think again before you begin to say, I'm going. But when you live separate lives, it's easy to quickly detach and move on. So those are some of the dynamics that we need to look into. So I've been in ministry now 34 years. By October, I'll be celebrating. I don't know when this will air, but I'll be celebrating 35 years in ministry in October this year. And one of the things I've come to realize is that a lot of the things we're trying to settle in marriage, they should never have married in the first place. You know, the Bible says what God has joined together, let no man put us on that. The one that God didn't join. God.
Oh, no.
But once you have already married, you know, when you talk about the will of God, the will of God is before you marry.
Yes.
Once you marry, it has become His will. Whoever you marry, you have to face it. So it's either patience, endurance, or long suffering. You have to now face it. So the best thing I would say to people is, before you say I do, think well. Because there are many people in marriage today that if they have an opportunity to do it over again, they wouldn't marry the same person, they wouldn't do it the same way. And that shows you that there are things they should have known that they did not know. Wow. Maturity does not come with age. It comes with the ability to handle responsibility.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And you know, also culture is also corporate.
Culture
Is also corporate because a lot of our assumptions about love, about marriage, about even social exchange, you know, are traditional.
Yeah.
You know, we've been told, you know, it's just number. Even the woman is not expecting the man to be that transparent.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to just say that culture part.
you know, it's so key. It's not even expecting it.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's necessary.
Yeah.
But it's not trained like that. You know, you see your dad and your mom, the way they function and all of that. But the assumptions under which they did what they did was different from the assumption of the modern day life and contemporary life that we know today. Right? There's so much pressure, so much eyes. We have social media. We have 24-hour TV. We have the internet. A lot of things that allow us to see and monitor our own progress and that of others. So pressure is intensified. The way we exchange in society on a daily basis is now more and more complex than ever before. Right? The speed of change itself with the information age is putting us under a lot of pressure. So yesterday's wisdom is failing, you know, critically with today. You know, but culture is corporate on many levels. And like you said, the education is so key. You know, to even expand that, you know, I mentioned a family excellence system, you know, to even expand what Pastor Olumide said, you know, about, you know, how to keep those 4 accounts. You know, we also counsel that people should spend their money in percentages. Once you are not, you know, successful to that realm of more than enough, like I said, because there's a level of prosperity where it doesn't matter again, you know, what you are keeping, you are measuring percentages, you know, but when you are still evolving, you are still pretty much middle class on many levels. You know, you want to spend money in percentages, like I said. So, and what I always say is come together and decide what percentage of your income goes into investment. And what percentage of your income goes into utilities, education, benevolence account. benevolence is that you are going to give in this world.
Yeah.
As an African, especially with our community and our culture of family, you're going to give.
Yeah.
You're going to give in church. You're going to give in your neighbor. You're going to support people. You just can't be giving. So you need to have a benevolence account. If it's 10% or 5% of your income that goes into that account, it doesn't. Whoever says God has told me that you should give, once the money is not in that account, I know God has not spoken to you because He does not make a demand where He has not invested.
Yes.
If He wants me to give you money, He will put money in that account, right? And so, and then I also believe that the account that people have individually, which is very key, the individuality construct is very key. They then take a percentage of the whole from that big joint account. We agree that this percentage goes to you, this goes to me, this goes to utility, this goes to benevolence, right? This goes to education. So we want to attend a conference, want to attend a seminar, we want to pay school fees, go to the education account. And then the money that goes to the individual is where you can do whatever. You can sow the whole money in a day. You can go buy 200 shoes if you want. I have no say in that. But that is a percentage that we have both agreed to come to you. It's priceless. The point that he has raised is priceless. And it also goes beyond the limits of religion or faith.
Yeah.
People of different opinions, views, ideologies, faith, and religion can practice these things. It's just wise. It allows, once you don't have more than enough, measurement becomes a necessity.
Yes.
And measurement also allows behavior governance on many levels. So if we see all the money and we plan all the money, we're also controlling the attitude and the behavior on many levels. Right?
I actually wanted to speak to, so I have two questions now. One is culture. We spoke about culture. A lot of men believe that keeping stuff to themselves, being able to be the one to distribute. If she knows everything I have, she will disrespect me. This idea of disrespect. Because if you see, my remittance, she will see me finish. So I'm not going to let her know how much I'm getting. I will distribute the money. How do we speak to that? Because culture is a big part of behavior today. In fact, more people are cultural than Christian. They use the word Christian to cover culture. So what we're seeing play out in marriages today is culture, what the male gender role is, what the female gender role is, and how everybody should work within their parts to play. How can we speak to that?
Well, we'll go back to what I said earlier on. Jesus Christ said, why transgress ye the law of God with your tradition? What kind of marriage are you running? So when you are running a traditional cultural marriage, then you are going to be a victim of the cultural beliefs and the cultural norms. So growing up, many of us were made to believe, oh, the man is a provider. They didn't tell us what he was to provide. We just assumed that provision is equal to money, and that was the software running everybody. So the man comes, is providing money, is not giving vision. He's providing money, is not providing security. He's providing money, is not providing direction. And you now realize that money cannot solve all the problems in the world. So the man is made to believe, I'm a provider. Oh, go to school, get good grade, start to earning so that you can take care of your family. So all he's thinking of is money. All he's thinking of is how to take care of family. All of a sudden, he believes that my expression of love is the ability to put a roof over your head and put food on your table and clothes on your back. That's why I say people never marry an African man. Marry a kingdom man. Never marry an African woman. Marry a kingdom woman. Because when you are marrying an African man, you are marrying the culture he comes from.
Yes, sir.
And that culture will affect you. So to an African man, you say, these guys are not romantic. I put a roof over your head. That's romance.
That's romance.
I put food on your table. That's romance. Because that's his upbringing. Doesn't you understand? Love language, Valentine, buy me flower. Oh, sorry, is he a widow or he doesn't understand that because that's his culture. And now his identity has been connected to his ability to provide. So when a man is now not able to provide in a cultural marriage, he feels less than a man.
Yes.
So you now see the problem now as people are doing the Japada, whatever.
Yeah.
So as they now go to the Western world, they now see a different context. So the man that was a provider, that believes that I'm a man because I pay rent, I pay this, I pay that, now goes into the Western world, the woman is now earning more. He now feels he's no more a man. Why? Because what made him think he was a man was provision. Now that he's not the major provider, he has lost his manhood.
Wow.
But in a kingdom marriage, you are not a man because of your ability to provide.
Yes, sir.
Because it's not money that makes you a man. God did not say, let us make man in our own image so that they can go and provide. That's not the reason. So when you are in a kingdom marriage, you understand that this man that I'm coming, you see, there are a lot of people today, that have money to take care of themselves. If money is all that the woman is looking for, then if she has money, she's supposed to have everything.
True.
But even though she has money, she's still looking for a man. That means your presence in her life is more than the money that she has. So when you run a kingdom marriage, you will not have those cultural, because those we go back to courtship. You will have sat down. Why are we coming together?
Yeah.
Why am I saying yes to you as a man? Then it will help us to settle a lot of all these things at the beginning. So culture is affecting us a lot. So when you come into the kingdom, we now have to start teaching people kingdom culture.
Yeah.
I did a series last year, part 1 to 25, the new rules of love. The game is the same, but the rules have changed. And even as pastors, there are many things we ourselves are taught that we are teaching now. Because we didn't know better. We are only teaching what we know based on our own interpretation. But as we're all growing, we are knowing better. Because see, life is lived forward but understood backward. That's why as you mature, you say, if I knew what I know now, it means you are growing.
Yes.
So, and one of the things I dealt with in that is this issue of third party. And I never allow a third party. And I say, come, this is an error. How can you say, because in the same statement, where they say don't allow a third party, in that same statement, they will say a marriage is between a man, his wife, and God. Is God not a third party?
Yes.
So what they should be telling us is be careful the kind of third party you allow.
Yes,
be
sir.
intentional about the case, so that the third party will be someone that is spiritual, matured, and experienced enough to help you. So for me, it's something that we all have to continue to rethink and reteach ourselves. So when you're in a family, we come together, the reality you know is what you saw in your parents' life and what you saw in your environment. But now, let's sit down together in courtship to say, this is how we want to run our family. And then we begin to, because that's what some of us have done that has helped us to be able to have something better than what we grew up in.
Oh, thank you for that, sir. I want to go back to the courtship statement. So it's been said, I think I read it on Instagram the other day, don't suffer with a man. When does he have? Don't suffer because once he has money. In fact, there was this study, they said a man will marry the person that can, but once he makes money, he will look for the one that he could not get to. So therefore, don't suffer with him. And it speaks to marrying potential. And he has potential. I can see he doesn't have money now. But I can see that if I help this man as the helper that God has called me to be, women are the helper. If I help him, he can make it. How do we balance that statement?
It's a reality. I mean, it's a reality. It's something that has happened. People are not imagining it. It has happened in many cases where people were at a level of humility before they begin to gain capacity. And then they have financial capacity, and then
Manpower,
everything they celebrated is all of a sudden not enough.
It's a poor man humble.
And the next level is they want to elevate to a higher place. And that means that they have to update everything around them, except that your wife is your wife. So for me, I think that it comes down to the person, and I think that people should, dimension all of it down to the guardedness in choosing who you want to be with. Because whether you like it or not, human beings are irrational. No experience in the human condition is permanent. There's transiency in everything we know. Everything we know, do, and even who we are is in a state of existence that is prevailing in the today. Yeah. But then it's in a phase of development, which is growth. And then it's in a season of usefulness. So, when I was much younger, I used to defend if my wife or anybody say to me that I've changed. You've changed. I would say, no, I've not changed. But as I mature, I realized that I've changed, really. A lot of things have changed about me. So I don't defend the fact that I've not, if it's wrong to say I've not changed, that would have been a problem. I have changed. I've gained more knowledge. I've changed my cycle of influence, people that I interact with, the knowledge that comes into me, the way I interact, everything has changed. My consciousness of myself, even the knowledge of my own identity, the knowledge of my journey has continued to evolve. So I will change. People will change. And change can be for good or for worse, for the better, or for pain or misery. Change can go in any direction. But part of what we have to know is the truth that, the fact of our imperfection is a constant. And the human being that can supply perfect behavior has not been born, will never be born. So part of our humility is to be able to live with the journey of imperfection. I say it every time, that if the Garden of Eden itself was perfect, the serpent would not be there. If Adam was perfect, Eve would have been unnecessary. If today was perfect, tomorrow will be unnecessary. So all flawedness is imperfect, but not all imperfect is flawed. There's a lot of our imperfection that is the gift of the future to preserve us from future weakness. So today's error is a gift from the future to prevent you from bigger ones if we pay attention. So whether we like it or not, human beings are going to evolve. So that should not be the problem because that's a constant and that is a fact of life. The problem is that if people change, essentially they are not kind. The Bible says that what is desired in a man is kindness, not a car, not a house, not a building, not land. It's kindness. So I say that you don't become a thief because you stole. You steal because you are a thief. Such that if you never have the misfortune of stealing in your lifetime, you are not less a thief. If you are a thief, whatever made you a thief. So I can't raise my voice on Pastor Olumide. No matter what it says to me, no matter how much it provokes me, if I don't know how to raise my voice. If I know how to raise my voice, well, by whatever exposure, by whatever training, I will raise my voice. Now, somebody else will be provoked by the same thing he has done to me. Because he doesn't know how to raise his voice, he will pick up his jacket and go for a walk. Or he'll lock into himself in the room and put up CNN or something and raise the music. Because he doesn't know how to slap. So people get into government and they steal. After making promises that they will not. The truth is that pressure will put you in a state that reveals who you are. What you do at any point in time is not because of what was done to you. It's a revelation of who you are. So when you slap people, you are a slapper. Bottom line. You know how to slap. Whatever gives you that skill, you have the ability to slap. You have mastered it. And so you slap. If you don't know how to slap, you will not slap, right? So if you put pressure on a thing, the content of the thing is revealed. If you squeeze a cockroach, blood is not going to come out because it doesn't have blood. If you squeeze a car, metal, oil, water, gas is what's going to come out. There will be no blood, except there's a human being in it, right? So every time we put pressure on a thing, the content of the thing is revealed. And prosperity is pressure. People don't know that. When you gain capacity and more money comes into your life, it puts you under pressure. It will reveal who you really are. And when you are that kind of guy that can discount the value of the things around you, and you cannot give meaning and purpose to the instruments around you, both the human instruments and non-human instruments, and you cannot give purpose and meaning to them, you will disrespect your wife. You will ignore her. You will seek other type of satisfaction because essentially, this is who you are. And this so-called prosperity is now revealing to you. You can be meeting yourself at that level for the first time. And people are meeting you at that level for the first time. A lot of time it's not even intentional. And that is why on many levels in that kind of picture, probably all parties are victims. Victims of a lot of things. History, programs, culture, so many things, right? So the best thing is to have that conversation. Pastor Bimbo spoke about courtship and the time to ensure that Pastor Bimbo used to say courtship is for interview, not intercourse. Right? So, interview is key. But for some reason, they said so much. I was, coordinated single and married with Pastor Bimbo, right? I traveled with her. I was everywhere. But for some reason, humbly, I realized that there's just a gap between what you know and what you practice. Because when I got married, I found out that, I knew a lot, but
theory and practical.
Theory and practical are two different things. And I still had to. And so even if God speaks to you, even if you marry the best human being, even if you marry an angel, the responsibility to show up emotionally, to show up with strength and character. It's a constant demand. It doesn't matter what the foundation is. Even when you are sure it is God, It doesn't excuse you. I know God wants me to eat today. If I don't go and cook the food, I'm just going to die hungry. So there's a responsibility that accompanies the voice of God. What God says is not a picture of what must happen. What God says is a picture of what can happen. God giving, you receiving. God playing his part, you play your part. Then it will happen. And so the best of marriages suffer. And it's not because it wasn't God at times. At times it wasn't supposed to be. But even if it was supposed to be, if we don't apply ourselves at the level we should, we will sincerely struggle. People are sincerely in jail. People are sincerely poor. People are sincerely confused. Sincerity is not a factor of production. And it's not an independent experience, right? We have to supply a level of clarity and intentionality to the ideas we want to experience, regardless of the intent or whether God is with it or not, right? And so I think people don't change. I think people are revealed. People are revealed. And that is instruction, that is a curriculum, that's feedback from the future. The humility to accept that moment and seek, improvement, right? It's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with knowing who my spouse is not and how she's growing. It is our capacity to take responsibility for that. Yeah. I have a lot of forgiveness for myself. I'm very tolerant of myself, right? Because I'm not moved by the mistakes I make as I am moved by my willingness and maturity to learn from them, right? And I say to people that wisdom is important in marriage, but I think the height of it will be the humility to take responsibility because error is a constant. So the humility to own your experiences and take responsibility for it is key. Because most of us, we get into marriage on many levels with different assumptions. We then come together to begin to create some form of harmony. I don't believe in balance, but we'll leave that. So
Okay, so the other side, two things I want to just add. The other side of the courtship issue is what I teach called wellness check. Now that we are married, at least I believe that if it's just twice in a year, we should be able to sit down and ask ourselves, are we good? What am I doing that needs to change?
That's a good one.
Because if you don't do that, a lot of people, we work on every other thing, but we don't work on ourselves.
Correct.
We just take each other for granted. We just assume that we are together. And then you are shocked when they realize, you mean you have this in your mind? Yeah, but there's never been an opportunity because to discuss it. See, when you are getting married to the past, the present, and the future of your spouse.
Yep.
Some part of their past, you know. Some part of their present, you know. The future, you don't know. So you must be ready to entertain strangers. Because strange manifestations, strange blessings will come in the future that you have no idea of. So the question we always need to ask ourselves is, as we are going into this relationship, am I ready to embrace whatever manifestation of glory or challenge comes with this person in the future? That's why when you are marrying a man, I just want to bring this angle because having sat down in counseling room, there are other sides that we need to look into.
Oh, yeah.
And I've sat down with guys, but why are you doing this now? This lady helped you. She was there for you. That is not really help. The help that they are giving you with insults, with dishonor, and you had no option. You have to say, but now that I have option, it's my time to
show
now
myself.
show, because if I had option, I would saying this now is to also help women.
Yeah.
When you are helping a man, which you call, and when you say helping, you see, it depends on the kind of marriage we are running. In a kingdom marriage, it's our family. So it's not about you are helping somebody, I help you to pay school fees. No. It's together. So because of whatever. So when you are supporting a man, helping a man, the attitude with which you do it is a seed that will produce an harvest in the future. So the fact that you are saying the truth does not mean you should say it anyhow. Speaking the truth in love, that's what kingdom communication is all about. So when you are supporting someone and they are growing, don't stop growing. Because most of the time you are supporting the guy is going for masters, he's doing PhD, he's changing his dressing, grooming himself, and you are giving birth to first one, second one, third one. You are throwing your body down. Go to school. I don't have time for that. Develop yourself. I'm not interested. Go and learn driving. The big driver is there. And let's travel. I don't like code. So the guy is going high and you are just there. 15 years later, the guy is a global phenomenon and you're like a village woman. The guy now wants to be a governor. You are not presentable. Why? Because he was growing and you are not growing. You were helping him to grow and you believe that that's enough. But it's not enough for you to still be the same person you are. You are supposed to also be growing, so that the same way is growing, you are growing, and there is always something in you that continues to keep him and draw him. So that's another balance we need to look at, because sometimes, like you said, I wanted to say that most of these guys, they are also meeting themselves for the first time. Because you see, I like referring to my books. In the School of Money, I wrote an entire chapter on the dangers of success. Because people don't know how dangerous success is. When you don't have, but that's why I say it's a poor man humble. You don't know who is humble until there's money.
Yes, sir.
Every poor man, you have no choice. Poverty will humble you. But when you have money and you are humble, that's when I will know you are really humble. Because money gives you options. Many people cannot have side chick, not because they don't want. They can't afford it. When they can afford it, that's why you will know that there is side chickism in the market. So the question is, are you doing what? So wellness check, very important.
Yes, sir.
Once you are married, twice in a year. We do that in our own family, twice in a year. And sometimes my wife will say something, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll work on that. And sometimes I will say something, say, I say, well, but if we don't have time to sit down, you are like, oh, I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. You are sweeping everything under the carpet until the carpet is a mountain that everybody's tripping on.
I just want to digress. It's getting interesting in my mind. So, you know how you said that you don't even know that person, you meet the person for the first time. There's a correlation between men and sex and meeting themselves for the first time. It seems like the more maybe successful they get, maybe they have other sexual desires. You see where the side chick comes in. So, for example, the Bible says the marriage bed is undefiled. Does that mean you should have a threesome? Because in the world that we live in today, sex is put in your face even more than ever. That even within the home, a lot of things are being tried. A man now makes more money. He's meeting himself for the first time. Maybe his sexual desires, he's not able to ask for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. But now we can afford to do A, B, C, D. Yes. So how do we talk about that within the Christian context? Now you're making money. Now you have all these sexual. Your wife is not that person. So how do we balance all of this out? Because in the last podcast I had, they said one of the reasons that men step out is sex, not being sexually fulfilled.
For me, it's a different ballgame. I usually say that, I see there are so many things that they define men by that doesn't work for me. So for a long time, I questioned how to grow in the understanding that, men step out because of sex. And I took my time to really read, because there's a volume of knowledge about that. And it's not my reality, because they say men are spontaneous, you just see, it doesn't work like that for me. If I meet somebody, your level of intelligence is very important to how I relate with you sexually.
Psychosexual.
I'm sapiosexual in that sense, because if it doesn't matter how beautiful you are, I don't see it. What I see first is the quality of your thinking. And if you don't communicate that, so I can't be with somebody I don't have a relationship with. I have to have a relationship with you. We have to be communicating at a level. And it doesn't mean that we are even talking about ourselves. It could be about United States, it could be about politics, Bin Laden, terrorism, it could be anything, but we have to be able to communicate, right? And so for a very long time, I used to think something is wrong with me. Why men say these things, I don't just feel these things. So, but I began to meet other men, and I realized that, so this thing is true on many levels. On many levels, it's not, right? But the fact is that if a man steps out, he hides under the idea that, it's a shield for him, that he's not having good sex, and so he goes out. Science is already clear that the idea of enough sex is a myth. You can't eliminate contentment from any human experience that you are going to have. People tell me that, I just can't be with one woman for the rest of my life. But you have one.
Christians, so that's what's
Christians. But then you've been with one barber for the last 21 years.
One mechanic.
You know, you have only one mechanic for the past 26 years. You have only driven a BMW in all your 8 cars. You cannot see yourself driving. That's fidelity. You know, so it's selective reasoning.
Yeah.
When we begin to choose the platforms that experience the release of our virtue, right? Because you understand fidelity. You understand it. That is why you are loyal to a brand all your life. You are loyal to a place of your grooming. You will drive 2 hours. You will, just to go. You are loyal to a restaurant. You will inconvenience yourself to come to that restaurant. We used to have this rice in my hometown in Ikenne in Ogun State called Ayamashe rice.
Oh, yeah, Ayamashe.
It originated from my hometown, right? And people will send their driver from Lagos to go to Ikenne to go buy that rice in Ogun State from Lagos, from VI, from Ikoyi. It's incredible, right? That's loyalty. That's fidelity.
Yeah.
That's advocacy itself, on many levels. So when you look at it, I find it it's just shallow excuse to say that. And I tell women, listen, there's nothing. They say, oh, go and get this type of string, Y string, G string, get this type of bra, get this to tame your man. I said, look, the dog that wants to be lost will not hear the hunter's whistle. It doesn't matter how much underwear you go and pack. A fool will find his way out if that's his resolve. So I empathize with whatever the reality of the man is that is taking him out. But I refuse to underscore the fact that it is the wife in any way that is responsible for that. I recognize the facts, but I can't accept responsibility that is because of what the woman is doing or not doing that is necessitating that, right? Because there are so many other problems you have. You don't go up. You don't say because you are poor, you want to go get a gun and go rob a bank. You don't do that. You find creative ways within the boundaries of legality to solve that problem. And that's how we solve most of our problems. It is the one that is pleasurable, that, ministers to our nuisance, and gives wings to our whims and caprices that we activate in the name of the irresponsibility of the other person.
Okay, so let me bring some. Number one, like you said, I'm not someone that supports any form of stereotype. Because most of the time, there are no data to support some of these things. For many years, people say, oh, men cheat, all men are dog. And sometimes I'm like, in fact, I sit down and say, guys, you get side cheek. I say, but this thing that they talk is like, are we mad? Is there something wrong with us? Because it's not our reality. So I don't believe in those, men cheat, all men this, all men that is a software that has been put in us. And we attract what we believe at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
So all men don't cheat, all men don't cheat. And if you say all men, who cheats more? If you say men cheat more, who are they cheating with?
Women.
They're cheating with women. Do you understand? So the hypocrisy of our world, is so amazing. Oh, it's just amazing. So I want us to deal with some deep issues that leads to some of these things so that we can understand. Number one, when we don't do things the way the Creator wants it done, these are the results. According to the plan of God, you are supposed to get married without any sexual experience to someone that has no sexual experience. So your first sexual experience is supposed to be with the person you are yoked with as one flesh. So whatever you find there is your reality. There is nothing else to compare it with. So when you are saying it's a 2 minutes man, who defines what? Because you have never been, even it's 2 minutes, that 2 minutes is your 2 hours. Because that's your reality. So the root cause, beginning from there, is the fact that many of us have messed up. So by the time you are now getting married, you are on the bed with your spouse, but there are 16 other people in that bed. And you are comparing the kiss, the mourning, the romance, the way to that of this one and this one. And then dissatisfaction starts from that point. And then there is no communication. There is no discussion. So you have desires and fantasies that you are not communicating. And it's becoming a problem. Because if you say that, what happened now? I will have done. I love this one. I can't do that. Or we can't do this. There will be discussion. There's no discussion. So number one, that's error of not doing it God's ways. Number one. Number two, when you now get married, we need to understand your mind is the sexual organ, not your penis or your vagina. It's your mind. And once you get married, if you don't renew your mind, if you don't deal with your mind, you will get into trouble.
Yep.
No matter, let the woman give you 10 a day. As long as everything you are seeing is sending a different signal to your mind,
Correct.
your curiosity will be looking for expression. So it's very, very important for us to always make sure that we realize that, look, it's your mind. If an 80-year-old woman is naked, it doesn't move you. Dogs don't wear clothes. Animals don't wear clothes. Why are you not seduced by their nakedness? It's because your mind tells you there's nothing there. But when you see a young woman voluptuous, your body is moving. Why? It's because your mind tells you there's something there to explore.
Yep.
So we should work on our mind. And women should please not put themselves under that unnecessary pressure of taking responsibility for an irresponsible man. A man that is not responsible is not responsible. It's not your fault. If you like, give him everything. Hold the chandelier, turn around, is a lie. He will do whatever he wants to do. He will look for one reason why what you are doing is still not enough. Just make sure that there is constant communication, and then you are expressing what you can express, and what you cannot express, you are discussing, and you are always on the same page. Once that is done, play your part, and don't allow somebody to put you in bondage.
Wow. Thank you for that. There was one question that wasn't answered. The marriage bed not being undefiled. Because now, like you said, Pastor Olumide, unfortunately, in the world we live in today, most people are very sexually active before they get married, as we know. Their sexual appetite is on another level. But when they marry, they want to marry somebody nobody has touched. They want a virgin.
But with the experience of...
somebody that has not that experience. And in fact, I think the culture even celebrates that men are more experienced than women. And then you now get married and she's not meeting that, your sexual appetite. And then I had people ask me, but did the Bible say marriage bed is undefiled? I said, the Bible says you invite another person into the bed. Because threesome.
It's crazy.
It's true, because they say, okay, marriage bed is undefiled.
They're
That means
inviting somebody else in their mind.
So I would like us to just talk about the realities of today in terms of sexual compatibility, and really and truly, I think how money comes into play is men feel, okay, now I have enough money to experience, or maybe these younger girls are more available or more willing. But the one you married that because nobody has touched her.
Yes.
In fact, I heard a guy once say, oh, my wife is for the normal one. My wife is for the normal, that one is normal. I don't want to know. When I go out, I can do everything else. So just talking to the realities of the truth of marriage today.
It's just carnality and deception. That's just it.
That's
because
it.
you see, if you don't have what you love, love what you have. The grass is not greener on the other side.
It's not.
If you water it, it will wither. So whatever you want to go and explore, sit down with your spouse and express your desires, your longings. And most of the time, you will find that those desires and longings are not inspired. They are influenced.
They are influenced, yes.
Because I say to people, if you have ever had sex before, this thing is sweet. And the person that created it is the creator, the most holy God.
Yes.
That created this sweet thing. He tells you how sweet he wants your life to be. So he doesn't hate you. He doesn't want you to be sad. He made it in such a way that rich or poor, you don't even need money. Everything fits into each other. That tells you the mind of God. So you are not unholy to be engaging in it when you are married. So whatever discussion you want to have, you now begin to ask yourself, is this the way God wants it to be? Because if you are able to discuss, because one of the things that has happened is, by virtue of religion, I say that religion is more dangerous than the devil. Religion has done more harm in many people's life. And so I say to people, Christianity is not a religion. It's a relationship with your creator. When you practice Christianity as a religion, you're going to be a pawn in the hand of charlatans. You're going to be a victim of the religious, cultural, traditional, inexposed interpretation of scriptures of the people you listen to. So many people grew up with holiness. Don't let a man touch you. So even when they are getting married, no marital counseling, no sexual counseling. So they enter and they are saying, let us pray before this sin we're about to commit. God forgive us. So when you are entering marriage with that kind of mindset, and so people have come and tell you, oh, Ora is right, Ora is wrong. People are now trying to legislate morality, legislate what happens in people's privacy. It becomes an issue. Before marriage, I go back to courtship. You will have sat down and discussed. There are tests to run. There are a lot of psychometric personality tests that are existing now. If you do marriage counseling the way it's supposed to be done, when we run you through all this thing, all this compatibility you are talking about, things will have been sorted out, and there is nothing that cannot be learned. once two of you are willing to learn together. And that's the way this thing works, because I don't know. You see, God has taken me through a journey in my life. And it has made me to, when the Bible says, when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. I think there are some things that you go through, that's what you learn. Those that have never gone through will not comprehend. I am married now to someone that I married as a virgin. So I can tell you from two different dimensions that most of these things we're talking about, we are just being carnal and unrealistic. When I got married, I could not have sex for the first 6 weeks of the marriage. Why? She's a virgin. Me, I thought I was experienced, but I've never married a virgin before. And I'm like, this experience, if I mess up, it might become something that will go on forever.
Yep.
So even though everybody was thinking honeymoon was going on, nothing. It was a mefa, man of God. It was a mefa.
Wow.
We were just trying, okay. So now, when we sit down, we are talking. It's two different conversations. I said, look, don't see me as anybody experience. I don't have any experience. I'm also a virgin. So I'm seeing the different now. There is nothing to compare anything to.
Yes.
Correct.
Do you understand now? Because, so I'm like, wow, I'm the one that now has to work on myself.
Yes.
My wife doesn't have that problem. She doesn't even understand. So it's like, I'm like, this God is good. So it is a revelation to me of the beauty of purity.
Correct.
That they know but she really but this my lifestyle, all my journey has messed me up to a level where I have to be, and this person is just playing, and I'm telling you, it's a different buggy. Let's do it God's will. I'm telling you.
Yes. And the idea of the marriage bed being undefiled, two is the marriage bed. And the marriage is between two people.
Yeah.
So as long as those two people, not three, not four, as long as it's the marriage bed, the marriage defines only two people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as long as it is those two people in their bedroom, whatever they do is undefiled, right? Agreeing to what they will do is what the issue is.
Yeah.
Whatever they do is undefiled. Whatever way they want to express themselves sexually, as long as it's between husband and wife, there is no sin in that.
Yeah.
But agreeing on what that should be based on, like Pastor Olumide said, two different contexts from two different experiences has brought different assumptions, right? So they have to be able to sit down, and understand their level of exposure, because their level of exposure, I don't mean positive exposure to whatever you're not supposed to know, that you have come to know. You have to create some type of harmony, within that gap of understanding. Again, the fact of pornography is also very key. And science is clear that when you indulge in pornography, masturbation, it completely messes up with your mentality on many levels, both physiologically, mentally, emotionally, on many levels, right? Your ability to think clearly, to maintain drive and energy, all of those things are taken away from you. You cannot keep strong focus when you indulge in pornography and masturbation. You can't, no matter who you are, because your brain is learning a different neural path and is sticking to it. And you can't love a woman. You fall in love with your hand because that's what you use.
Yeah.
So once you indulge in that, you are breaking your resonance with somebody else, right? With your spouse. So, a lot of, you see, it's a shameful thing. People are not proud to say, I watch pornography, or I masturbate. Yeah. But there's nobody that is going to perform at a level, and keep a habit like that. Yeah. Because it's small, it defeats you on many levels. We can analyze that tomorrow. It will be fact. So the commitment to understand that you are married to someone goes beyond, what you do physically. Even what you do, in your mind, like Pastor Olumide said, is your mind. That's your sexual organ. What you do in your mind, being able to sleep with 5, 10, 20 women watching pornography and getting, to climax based on that, and deriving your satisfaction based on that. It pretty much means that you have training every part of you in variety, and so fidelity becomes a problem on a daily basis. But because we don't communicate that, we don't talk about that, it's not on the conversation at all. They then come together and begin to pick other issues as the issues that they have. When I look at pornography, it's the same way I look at money and communication. We don't identify those things as the problem. So we pick other issues to represent those problems. So we never solve the problem because the real issues we are not discussing at all. And for the most part, when people begin to have challenges with their marriages sexually, for the most part, I found out that there's so many people are struggling with pornography. So many people but it's never going to come to the front burner of conversation, except somebody is bold to really engage them, and that is not a rule to say this is what happens every time. But a lot of times, when you get down to it, people get locked away from their spouse because they're dealing with something else in private that is giving them all the connection. Of course, a lot of other things, disrespect, can shut down a man. Disrespect, just because he really can't communicate his highest esteem in his own house. A part of him can be broken from that. And when he looks at you, he doesn't see, that object for pleasure and meaning. He sees an adversary. Unfortunately, this is his home. He can't respond to an adversary, to his wife, like he will respond to an adversary. So the only response is to shut down. That shutdown is safety mode. Because if it goes beyond that, it's war. And it doesn't want to get there, so it shuts down, and it begins to shut down. And it happens to women as well. You push a woman to a point, and she gets to that point, she just shuts down. And then it takes the grace of God, some form of intervention, definitely counseling, therapy, to push out of that, revelation or some kind of epiphany to push out of that. But these things happen.
And just speaking about respect, you see that word respect, a man is in a home and he's not the main provider. The woman is, not that she wants to be disrespectful. Maybe she just has a better job, she has more money, and she stepped into that shoe of being the sole or the main provider as per money. How do men handle that? Because I think in today's world, we're seeing that it's beginning to break a lot of marriages because a man cannot handle the fact that he's not in that seat of being the main provider.
Okay, we'll go back again. Cultural, traditional marriage, contemporary marriage, or kingdom marriage. As a woman, you don't have money. You want to do something. You ask me as your man, oh, I would like to get this. I would like to get that. Oh, I want to travel. Can I travel next week? I'm thinking of going to... You ask me. Why are you asking me? You claim that you are asking because you are submissive. But you are not really submissive. You are asking because you can't afford it. Now you are a woman. You can afford it. You are no more asking me. I just come home, I see 4 bags. How was that? I just went to do shopping, I bought that. Oh, wow. So you can just do anything now. I'm no more relevant. You want to travel. You are not even telling me, I didn't remember, I'm going to London today, but I've already prepared food. And oh, wow, you're going to London today. Oh, wow. So because you can afford the ticket now, those are the issues. It's not about the money. It's not about whether you earn more or not. It's about the attitude with which you go about it. Because you see, a man can spend money from January to December without complaining. In the traditional and contemporary marriage. Not kingdom. But a woman spends just once or twice, the world will not laugh. It's like, I don't know, everything's so expensive now. I say, and you are like, but I've been doing this thing. I paid rent for 17 years. You pay for 1 year because I'm in crisis. And that 1 year, the world will end. Even rent. But I've been paying for 17 years. I've never said anything. I just do it because it's like, Why is it that you are doing it? Well, I've been paying school fees. Now dollar has changed. You have made myself, babe, I need $10,000. No. Hello, is it not our children? So most of the time, while there are some men that have an ego issue, there are some men that are insecure that cannot handle a strong woman.
Correct.
That's the reality. Sometimes, most of the time, a lot of women don't realize that when you are in a traditional cultural marriage, a man's manhood is connected to two things: sex, bedroom, and money. In a traditional marriage, in a cultural marriage. So once the man cannot perform, he has erectile dysfunction, he can't do, you are talking 2 minutes, hey, have you finished? You don't come. Is that you are finishing the man. Yeah. Because that is who, then he doesn't have, hey, so are you going to pay this one? Are you going to borrow money again? You are finishing the man. Because in a traditional cultural marriage, that is who he is. Ability to perform, money and bedroom. So once you are in a traditional marriage, anything you do, when a man does not have money, everything is interpreted financially. You are sitting down watching a movie. The man is sitting next to you. Everybody is laughing and enjoying. And then they show a beautiful house, a palatial mansion. And you say, wow, when will I have this kind of house? Trouble.
That's it.
Why? Because when you make that kind of expression, now, are we saying you should be in bondage, you should not be free? No. But you should be conscious of your environment and who you are dealing with. If you are in a kingdom marriage, it's a different ballgame. Because in a kingdom marriage, the couples are friends.
Yes.
In a cultural marriage, they are not friends. The one is boss, the other one is upset. But in a kingdom marriage, we are friends. Instead of saying when they say, you don't call you relay you. My baby, check out bedroom here. My share partner. You'll be gisting and laughing. It won't be like, hey, she will mercy people. God, when will I have this kind of house? The man will just shrink. Because what you have just said is, you're not a man. You can't provide. But you thought you were watching a movie. And then the man changes. And then the next thing, are you ready for food? No, I'm okay. I want to quickly go and see John. He leaves. So we just need to understand what kind of marriage are we running and then have constant conversation so that we will not be putting ourselves, because this world, you have just one life to live.
Yeah.
If you live it well, one is enough. Well, everybody deserves to be loved. We don't have all this unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
I was still telling my wife yesterday, I said, thank God for good marriage, that the stress of marriage for some people, I'm like, too little. Why can't we be happy? So I don't know, but God will help us. Give us global perspective.
I think Pastor Olumide is right. Respect is a need of the human condition. Both husband and wife need respect.
Yes.
The human being deserves the respect his or her individuality requires.
Yeah.
Respect is a need, and people try to minimize it. They want to slap ego on it. But respect is a need, right? For men, it's slightly different, particularly in our type of society where a lot of responsibility is placed on the man existentially, and it's not placed on him by God, but society places it on him.
Yes.
And the woman too allows that placement. So you allow the placement. For example, if you say that the husband is the provider, and the husband's money is our money, and your money is your money. For example, where we started from, if you accept that, then that is already placing another demand on you. You have to then begin to honor that man as your source. And when the man begins to feel justified and therefore, vexed when he doesn't get that level of honor, none of it is natural, because ideally the money of the husband is our money. Your money is our money. But if you allow him to say you are the provider, if you don't provide, you are not a man. Okay, so if I'm providing, then I am the man. Yeah. So you must give me, a level of respect that is not ordinary. I demand it, because he doesn't know. But from his subconscious, he's making that demand because you are permitting that demand and you are making that demand of him. Right? So it's like two dead bodies trying to enter one coffin and fighting for who has the bigger space. You are both dead. It's just wrong. People just have to learn to understand the mutuality of the human condition in measuring coexistence, peace. All those things are not fabrics that you can sustain for too long on your own. We are not in an independent world, right? So no matter who you are, no matter how powerful you are, you don't get to become a chain. You are a link. And so you can't be everything on your own. And the way I put it is that, the best of you is always in you, but the completion of you is always in others. As long as you are in your room, talking to God alone or doing whatever you are enough. But if you are going to organize one project, you are going to have to hire a PA, get a staff, you have to cooperate with people. Then there's a completion in that is not in you, and you'll have to depend on other people. And that should bring a level of humility out of all of us to learn to tolerate each other. I try as much as I can to see respect as something that I deserve and that I owe. Not just what I deserve. So everywhere I find myself, it doesn't matter if I'm talking to my chauffeur or to my assistant, I strive to be better. I'm not perfect in these things. Nobody is. But the truth is, I strive to measure my right to respect with my duty to give it. And not to rest on any of the two extremes. So I'm asking for it. I'm also asking myself, am I giving it? But do we deserve respect? As human beings, we do. Do men deserve more respect in our type of society, in a traditional situation, even in a contemporary situation? Yes, because society demands more responsibility
So
at
much
that
responsibility.
level. So the only way to get out of that pedestal is when all of us come to that same level of duality and equality, to understand that we all have a responsibility to show up financially in a home, right? We both have the responsibility to show up emotionally in a home. We both have the responsibility to show up mentally, in a home. And we come together to say, what is your contribution? What is mine? What am I bringing into this marriage, into this situation? Whatever need that we have, we come together to say, how are we going to resolve this? Particularly how we resolve conflict, because that's another issue. If you don't learn how to resolve conflict, you really will be helpless in the face of the smallest of challenges. Because the instrument that you will use, it's like when you are not wise. Once you don't have wisdom, how do you even love God? How do you even obey God when you don't have wisdom as a principal thing? So if you don't first understand how to disagree to agree, if you can't agree on that, on our most honest day, we're going to have a crisis. Because we will disagree in this world. Because we are two different people. My mom is 80 something now. We still have sharp disagreements. After I'm 53, we still have sharp disagreements. My siblings, we've lived together for 50 years, for 40 years. We still have sharp disagreement. How do I bring a lady into my home 21 years ago and I'm shocked, or 22 years ago, that we're having an issue? You're going to have issues.
Of course.
You have issues with your mom. You have issues with your dad, right? So the top skill that we need is our capacity to resolve conflicts, because conflict is a constant. So even in marital counseling, I always say that above all, teach them how to love, teach them how to do all of that, but they must learn how to resolve conflict.
Yes.
Conflict resolution.
Because it's key.
It's key.
Because no matter how anointed you are, no matter how humble you are going to be conflicted. It is inevitable that offense will come.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if it is sure, then what kind of person ought we to be? Right? So, yeah.
Oh, so good. So I'm going to start rounding up now. Well, you said something that kind of jumped up in my mind: equality in marriage. And I'd like us to talk about that a little bit, because we know the whole submission. We live in Nigeria, which is quite cultural. We know what the society demands. When you say the word equality, can you expand a bit on it too? Because one thing I really want this podcast to do is to also teach people and let them understand how things can be better, and how we can work together in a kingdom marriage.
Yes.
Okay. So now we need to have clear understanding. A man and a woman before God is equal in value,
Yes.
equal in essence. A man is not better than a woman. A woman is not better than a man. We are equal before God and we are different.
Yeah.
But now when you now get into marriage, Marriage is an institution. And every institution requires structure, system, and order.
Yep.
The church is an organism and an organization. As an organism, it's spiritual, it's supernatural. But as an organization, we have to have a head of the organization. We have to have different people functioning within the organization. We have to have tenets, policies, governing that organization. In a marriage, it is an institution. There has to be a head, a coordinator. So in marriage, man and woman are not equal. In a kingdom marriage, the man is given the responsibility to lead and guide that ship. Not because he is better than a woman, but because two people cannot drive a car with only one steering. So in the same place where everybody is talking about love, submit, it started with submitting yourself one to another. That's where it started from. To say, look, we are all equal. That in this world, there are times you need to submit to the woman. There are times the woman needs to, but when you come into marriage, it now says, husband, do this, wife, do that. It didn't say man. It said husband. It didn't say woman. It said wife. So a woman is not supposed to submit to every man. She's supposed to submit to the man that she has chosen. To say, I honor you and I want to be your wife. I accept your proposal. That is within the confines of marriage now. That does not now mean that every decision in the marriage must be made by the man. A man that is wise now knows I didn't marry a dummy. She's bringing something to the table and I need what she's bringing. So if I'm married to an accountant, my wife is an accountant, my wife is technologically advanced, I'm not into all those things. So even in the house, say, babe, how do you do this thing? She will now say, do this one, press this one. And then that's submission. I'm submitting to her. In accounting, I say, babe, what's this? Help me do this balance. That's it. So if you are married to a chief judge, a legal luminary, you now say, I'm the man. And the woman is saying, look, before you sign that contract, honey, let me see so that I can look at it. What do you mean? I can't show you the contract. You are not a lawyer, sir. I am the head. I am the head. It's not that. So many times it's because people are not well taught. So a lot of women, when they hear submission, what they hear is subjugation. What they hear is inferiority. What they hear is control. But God didn't say that. Whether they taught you that, but that's not what the Bible is saying. But two heads can. So in a marriage, where the submission issue really comes on is when there is now a decision where we have contrary views. That is where, because most of the time, if you are married to the right kind of person, most of your decisions may most likely be. But when it comes to decisions where I want us to go to, no, I think we should go this way. That's where there's problem. You can't tell me where to go. I'm there. I have my life. I have my this. I have my that. You cannot control me. The trouble comes because we have not learned how to manage crisis and how to manage situations. So every woman should know to say you are submitting to a man. No, you are not submitting to. You are submitting to your husband. But many women find it easy to submit to their pastor that does not have any, submit to their boss in the office. So your boss in the office will talk, yes, sir. Even though you don't like it, you don't frown, you don't murmur, you don't talk back, you don't give attitude because they are paying you 350,000. Your pastor, bless you, sir. Daddy, you are bending neck, bending body, bending fake. But the man that is committed to your destiny, he doesn't deserve that same honor. That's why a lot of men don't go to church. Because I go and marry your pastor. If he's your pastor, everything, my pastor. If women can just give 1/10 of the honor they give their pastor and their bosses to their husband, a lot of things will work. So once you understand the context, it's going to make things easier for everybody.
And, from another angle, you can also define equality in a very interesting way. And I consider it I like when Pastor Olumide spoke about contemporary marriage, because we are now living in a modern contemporary life. Contemporarity is now on a daily basis. It's everyday issues of contemporary life that we are facing. And so if you start with God himself, you look at the concept of the Trinity, God is this, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. It's equality. But there is difference in role playing. And you see God the Son saying God the Father, taking approval from God the Father.
Yep.
But there is equality in that relationship. It's 3 in 1. None is superior to the other. But you see a lot of difference in how the relationship work. And that difference is not based on subjugation or tokenism, or piety of any kind. It's based on role playing. The role of the Son, the Father cannot play. The role of the Holy Spirit, the Son cannot play, and the Father cannot play. Now, they are not taking those roles because of themselves, because they said, let us create man. So they didn't have a problem with themselves. But with the human beings, the external factors that will experience them, they had to model a structure for the world outside of them. It's not for the world inside of them. It's for the world outside of them that the role playing became important. They are not playing those roles to themselves. The Holy Spirit doesn't help God the Father. The Son doesn't help God the Father. The whole ministry of the Son is for the world, right? It's not for himself. So we have to be able to live in that duality to understand that there is an essence that defines you internally, and there is an assignment that defines you externally. And so once you understand that, you can live peacefully in your equality with other instruments around you and lean into your role. The Bible did not say 2 cannot work together except they are similar. It said 2 cannot work together except they agree. Agreement runs the world. And 2 fools, you see, this room is working right now with this podcast because of agreement. We are all different people. But agreement gives everybody his role, give everybody their posture, their positioning, and everything is working perfectly. And there is incredible harmony in this room because of agreement, not similarity. And so when we come into the home as well, we have to find the strength to live in equality. We have to, as human beings. It's impossible to negotiate power without that, harmony. See, the Yorubas have issues, the Igbos have issues, and because when you come to it, the Hausas have issues, because we are seeking superiority, right? If we negotiate that from a position of equality, we can birth a different type of society. That's what is happening in America. There's no reward for being Texan or from coming from New York. There's only reward for being an American. That is why 2 brothers from the same home, same father, same mother, one can be governor in Texas, another one governor in Florida. They are both from the same home. From the same home. It can never happen in Nigeria because the Americans don't reward indigenization. They reward the American. So an Igbo man cannot be governor in Lagos State and the governor cannot be, it's not except it's a military rule. It's impossible. You have to come from there first before you can lead them, right? Because we cannot negotiate from a position of equality. And so when it comes to the home, I believe that we have to deliberately lean into equality so that we can honor difference. Now, role playing is key. It has nothing to do with your equality. You can't play equal roles. All of us cannot be the hand. Everybody, the body cannot be the leg. So who will be the brain? Who will be the eyes? Who will be? It's about role playing. So what we do when we try to strike an hierarchical structure out of equality, it's like trying to seek which body organ is more superior. Whether it's the eyes, you tell me what you will do when your eyes is not there, or when you cut one finger off, right? So at the base of our coexistence, necessarily, there is an equality we have to assume. Whether we know it or not, we have to assume it so that it can lead us to our difference, right? So you see 2 partners in the business world, 6 people, 4 people have a business. Each of them have 25%, 25%, 25%. But they can't have 4 CEOs.
Yes. You're right.
And they are both in the company. So somebody has to come amongst equal partners to be the chief executive. And the remaining 2 will be on the board. One will be ED. And then they will have to function in that bracket. And then after 10 years or 15 years, the next CEO comes in. If he's still old enough, he says, I'm too old. Get a younger CEO to come in. And that institution will work based on the constitution, right? So the oldest person doesn't pastor a church necessarily. The oldest person doesn't lead a country necessarily. So we have to defeat those walls, those brackets of superiority, right? We have to focus on our necessary equality as human beings and our necessary function in role playing. That role playing is not because of us necessarily. It's because we are going to engage a world. And in that world, doesn't matter, we can be eating each other in the house. The way people see us, the way they relate with us. If I see Pastor Olumide now, there's a level of respect I must give him. Yeah. Pastor Olumide is a senior pastor of an entire congregation. Whether I like it or not, if Pastor Olumide is 15 years old, there is a honor that must come from me in the protection of the office he occupies. Otherwise, people who relate with him will disrespect him based on that. If we come into this room, and myself and PT are just, talking to Pastor Olumide anyhow, hitting his head, saying, before we finish this podcast, one of these guys here will misbehave and say something to him, right? The strength we are showing with him is not just for us. It's also as an example for those who are coming in contact with him. So what I really believe is that equality is distinct. Equality is distinct away from function. And we have to be able to allow that equality. It's not a conversation. We are equal in that sense, right? Because we are human beings. Yeah. And you can't, because if we begin to find, like Pastor Olumide said, the way God sees us is the way we have to see ourselves. As he is, so we are in this world, right? So we have to see ourselves that way. But in function, in role playing, the CEO of a bank is the CEO, is the head of the bank. But it's not given the responsibility to bring all the money. Salespeople do that. Marketers do that. It's not given the responsibility to talk about the business the most. He has PR and communications and comms who would do that. It's not given the responsibility to defend the organization in court. He has a legal team who will do that. But his job as head is to make sure that every resource available in this bank is functioning maximally and is releasing its highest potential. So when I understand headship, I shift away from hierarchy or superiority. I shift to, coexistence and maximization of capacity. So as the head of a home, it is my job to make sure that this woman has her highest experience and is sharing her best self with the world. No matter how, there's no way you can negotiate that away. You can't say the woman is rude. That's why you cannot do that. You are supposed to manage that rudeness. That's why you are the head. You will manage it and make sure that she's producing at that level. Oh, she insults me. She's all of that. Then you are failing at this job. Because this is not a staff you can fire. This is a perpetual role. So if it's a staff, you can say, you are disturbing me. Go. But in marriage, person has come, you have to, it's a demand on your wisdom.
Groom her.
It's a demand on your wisdom. And when we have that as the common denominator, we can negotiate better on how we progress as a couple, right? We can, so and I agree with Pastor Olumide totally because I get the point and I don't want people to misunderstand that. The idea that God sees us that way, right? The equality that that the man is equal, that Pastor Olumide is talking about, is pretty much about the role that we play. So when the Bible says that the man is the head of the woman, it's not a title. It's a demonstrative experience. It's the head of the woman. So how do you do that? You love the woman as Christ loved the church. Because Christ loved the church is speaking to the head of the church. You right? And when the wife is supposed to submit to the man, you submit to the man not just on your terms, not just on your preference, but as unto the Lord. So the woman should please just focus on playing that role, submitting to the man as unto the Lord. The man should just focus on that role, loving the wife as Christ loved the church. I don't think any man should complain that you are not submitting to me. I think the man should be busy focusing on loving the woman. I don't think the woman should complain that the man does not love me. I think the woman should be busy, focus on submitting to the man. Your job is to submit to the man. The man's job is to love you. Now, when you are loving somebody, you don't love me on your terms. You don't give me a gift that you like. You give me a gift I like. So to love me to really, truly love me, you have to invest in my head. You have to rent a space in my head. You have to live in my head to know the things I like. And then like somebody gave me a gift the other day. I called the person, I hugged him, I said, I won't use it. This shows that, first of all, there's a level of low intelligence here, because I have assistants, I have so many people you can call to find out that I have 4 of these books. 4. So how do you give me the 5th book? I have 4 of it from wrong giving of some other people. So you have joined that list. I said, so you can't do that. You have to do some research to know what I like. Yes. Giving is acceptable on the terms of the recipient, not the terms of the giver. True. So when you want to love, for God so loved the world that he gave, so you have to then come and give based on my terms. And if you get busy on that, I don't know. It will be rare. I know it's possible in the irrationality of the human condition, but it will be rare for a man to be giving to a woman on the terms of the woman, and the man will not and the woman will not submit, right? And vice versa. Yeah. If a woman is busy honoring the man and submitting, and Owolowori, my love, the love of my life, and giving him all the attention and all of the respect that he deserves, it will be difficult to find a man that will not love that woman, right? So I think it's about role playing, and I think the couple, each of them should. The husband and the wife should get busy focusing on that role, and they will get the collective result that they should get.
Man.
Wow.
Wow.
It's been such an amazing time. I want to especially thank you, Pastor Olumide. Thank you, Pastor Kunle. I've had a lot of fun listening to both of you speak such wisdom. And I know that this session is going to really bless a lot of people. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for honoring my invitation, and thank you for coming. And thank you all for watching Truth Table. God bless you. Bye.